You're listening to the ReachCast Show, your weekly stop for the latest and greatest in the PlanetSide 2 universe and its community.
What's going on, everybody? It's May 27th, 2013, and you're listening to episode 35 of the ReachCast Show. Hey, we are proud members of the Araxis Global Network. I'm your host, Torkz, and with me tonight are my co-hosts, Noxx and Deringer.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
We are brought to you this week by great veterans everywhere, and also great listeners like you, via the Support the Show tab on ReachCastShow.com. We played with Imperial Reach, 666 Devil Dogs, Dropping Purple Smoke, Black Arrows, the Iron Wolves, and Outfit X this week. Had a good time with all of them.
Feels like we played with everybody.
It did. A lot of bouncing around this week. It was fun. We have Game Update 9 this week. Sorry, my throat is a little bit scratchy. My reception for my wedding was this week, and I had too many cigarettes.
Smoking's dirty.
Smoking is dirty. It's a bad habit. Game Update 9, F&O for this week was good, and a great ReachCast University. So let's get right to it with patch notes.
I'm going to get these mosquitoes in the air and rain down some hellfires on those fools. Oh no! What the f***? I should have listened to the ReachCast patch notes.
As Torkz alluded to, we are going to start this evening with Game Update 9. I think the biggest thing that was introduced was the Lattice was brought to Indar, so we're going to start off with some battle flow improvements to the Indar continent itself. So, in addition to the Lattice, they've also reduced the connections available on the map. Each region's now only connected to a handful of other regions, which works to create some clear conquest lanes to direct players where the next fight is and allow them to predict better which places to set up defenses. They also did a pass to remove some underutilized outposts and moved some other outposts to different locations to better serve these new conquest lanes. The AMP stations on Indar had some layout adjustments. I believe, Noxx, you noticed those specifically before we even got into these patch notes, correct?
Yeah, they have secondary spawn locations. It's one of the smaller base spawns in the opposite end of the main spawn, which is pretty cool.
Next up, they moved around some of the crown capture points, and I know all three of us hopped in game right after the patch dropped, and we were all like, oh my god, they changed the crown. So
much easier to take now.
Yeah, they moved two of the capture points down onto the nearby bridges, and the spawn room itself is now back in the tower. So if you haven't been to the crown, I know we're not the guys to say, yeah, you should get to the crown, but we're actually saying it this week. Get to the crown. You guys should see what the changes look like. Finally, the update to the Indar battle flow. They changed the SCU shield functionality. Now, to recap, anybody who doesn't know the term SCU, those are the generators that power the SCU shields. Those have actually been removed. The SCU shields now power down automatically when the base is 75% captured. It's a pretty big change from what it was before.
It's a good change. It's actually made those bases much more defensible.
Definitely prolongs some of the larger base fights. I think it's good. I think it's generally good. It's got its pros and cons, but I think it's a good change.
Should we talk about Lattice? We kind of just brushed over it.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it later on. I think it's a lot of our good and bad for this week are Lattice, so we'll have a chance.
That's true. We will save it for then.
Let's see here. Aside from that, we have a lot of good general updates that came with GU9, and players now have an option of doing a brief tutorial, which we kind of talked a little bit about last week. That was included in F&O, right, guys?
Yep.
And the tutorial is pretty good. I went through with one of my guys to see what it was like, and it's pretty well thought out, in my opinion. Yeah. Do you guys have a chance to run through it?
I ran through it very quickly. It was very good. I liked it.
Honestly, I didn't even bother.
Okay.
I was too concerned with taking advantage of the double XP to go and play with the tutorial this week. Maybe in a few weeks down the road, I'll go check it out.
For people who do want to, who maybe create multiple characters in the future, you can skip it by hitting escape and say exit tutorial if you don't want to do it on a second character.
I thought it was actually a button. When you hit escape, isn't it a button on the top of the screen that says exit tutorial?
Yeah, what did I say?
You could do that, but there's also like a skip checkmark box you can use when you create the character.
Yeah, there's that too.
Okay.
So there's multiple ways. They make them pretty obvious, so it's not a big deal. They made some changes to instant action. They say they made the instant action so it wouldn't take players away from alerts on continents they enjoy. I don't know. I had some mixed results with instant action this weekend, so I don't know what to say about that.
I had no issues with it. Every time I've used it, it's dropped me right in the middle of an active combat, and it was really good. In fact, a new character I made this weekend, it dropped me right behind an enemy tank column, and I was able to sit in the back of them and pick off their engineers without them even knowing I was there. I thought it worked perfectly.
Yeah,
well,
a couple instances.
I never use it, so I don't even know. I guess people were on alert continents using it, and then it would stick them on a different continent.
Yeah, it would switch
So it
between
sounds like
continents.
that got fixed.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't know.
Well, here's kind of a bigger change for those of you that do a lot of aim down sights or AIM, right? Sorry, ADM.
ADS.
I'm out of it. They added a sensitivity bar for ADS this week, and it definitely throws you off initially when you get in if you've messed with it in the past.
It starts at 0.5, so unless you don't change your sensitivity, it's
yeah, I was swinging all over the place initially.
Yeah.
I was like, "What is going on here?" I was like, "Oh, that's right, the ADS is in." So, but that aside from that, there's one last big change that was more generalized. Helios and Connery are merged, and it was good because there's a good influx of VS for Connery.
Yeah, the VS now have a huge presence on that server, which they had almost none before.
Agreed.
I'd like to think that I'm part of that and can be thanked for it. So
Totally, you are probably all you.
Well, one other thing that I've noticed with the Helios and Connery merger, and I think it's also a factor of the double XP weekend, but people are starting to complain that they're no longer seeing alerts on Connery.
Yeah, I saw alerts at about 10 a.m. No, 8 a.m. server time, which would be 8 a.m. in the West Coast. I saw alerts yesterday and the day before, today and yesterday.
During prime time, there were none.
Oh yeah, none at all.
I mean, we played for how many hours last night, Noxx, on Connery?
Like 5?
Yeah, I played from like 7 to midnight my time, and there wasn't an alert the entire time. And then you played even past that, right?
I played until 3 in the morning my time.
Yeah,
which is 1 a.m.
4
Pacific
my time.
Yeah.
So if you think my time, that's 7 p.m. to 4 a.m. Eastern, there were no alerts on Connery. That's a long time.
It was very long. Well, moving on from that awesome server merge that made Connery crazy.
It is crazy. It's crazy good, though, I mean.
It is. No, yeah. But some Empire-specific weapons are now available for the Harasser, which I indulged myself in one of, which you can probably guess is the NC one. But the VS got the Proton 2 PPA-H and the Sauron HRBH. The NC got the Enforcer ML85H and the Enforcer C85 modified. They all have H at the end. I'm not saying H anymore. And then the TR got the
H
G
for harasser.
Yeah, probably. TR got the G30 Vulcan and the P525 Marauder. Now, I've used the Enforcer ML85, and it is nasty. I don't know. I haven't used the others, but I know that Sauron HRB has been ripping people too, hasn't it?
I was having some... Sorry, go ahead, Deringer.
The Sauron was ripping people, and then they nerfed it, but it is still ripping people.
I was playing I was rotating between NC and TR today, and when I was playing NC, I was getting destroyed by the 525 Marauder. The TR harasser guys. It was crazy.
Yeah, I haven't used it myself or seen it used, I guess, but all of them seem pretty good. I haven't heard of people being upset about them other than being maybe too good. Lumifiber trim is now available for main battle tanks, and I have all the say in this, so do you guys. They lowered the several infantry weapon prices and adjusted some of the main battle tanks under and harasser weapon prices. Did you guys
And a
notice
cheer went up through the crowds.
this? None of the weapons I wanted lowered, so I was excitedly checking and did not get my dream.
That's probably because you own them all.
Yeah, probably. Well, I really want the Reaper DMR, but I refuse to spend 700 station cash on a gun I will use like maybe 10% of the time.
Yeah, I kind of wish they had put out a list of the specific ones that were affected, because I'm just curious. More than anything, I'm just curious.
Yeah. Well, they're not going to, because as people spent real money on them and it goes down from like 1,000 certs to 500, they're gonna be like,
oh yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. You definitely expect that.
They don't want to release that and cause a bunch of crying that they agreed to when they clicked that terms of service button. But what can you do, you know?
Yeah, there's not much.
I'm sure some of mine went down. I'm not upset. I've enjoyed everything I've purchased. So
if I've already purchased it, I don't care. I'm more thinking about the ones I haven't purchased. I'm wondering how to tell what they were beforehand.
Yep.
That's all.
This leads me to another thing is like, as I have more guns, like I find myself questioning buying another gun because I'm going to use it that much less. So I wonder what the future of weapons sales will be like.
Well, I bought some new weapons, and I think the next point is going to explain why I bought some new weapons.
Yeah, I bought some of those weapons too.
We have some infantry updates, and the biggest thing in the infantry updates with this patch is the new max abilities were rolled out. So everybody had a chance to play with the VS Max's Zealot Overdrive engine, the NC Max, the NC Max's Aegis Shield, and the TR Max's Lockdown ability. Now, the Zealot Overdrive engine, we're going to call it Zoe from now on, because that's what it is, ZOE. This increases your movement speed and weapon damage while active, but decreases your armor effectiveness while active.
Which is irrelevant, because you can dodge everything.
The Aegis Shield absorbs all incoming frontal damage while active, but is still vulnerable from the side and rear. And finally, the TR Lockdown ability increases your rate of fire, projectile speed, and reload speed when deployed, but it locks your max into position and limits their turning radius until they undeploy. Now, how in-depth do we want to go into Zoe now?
I don't want to go into depth of Zoe specifically, other than saying it's easily the best one.
I agree.
Well, it's easily the best one because it doesn't have to be shut off, and it has very little detriment. I mean, yes, it takes more damage, but
it's 20%. It's only 20%. And can't you boost it up to a 40% damage increase for depending on the weapon?
Yeah, it's something crazy like that. Let's put it this way: I spent
the anti-infantry ones, and I get killed like a blue shift. 3 shots, dead.
I spent 850 certs on this thing this weekend, so just to max it out as much as I can. I mean, if I think how many certs I spent on my max this weekend, I'm probably over 1,500 to 2,000 certs on my max alone this weekend between ranking the Zoe up as much as I could. I think I have it ranked 3 or 4 now. Dropping my cooldown timer almost to, nothing. I bought the extra Cosmos. I bought an extra anti-infantry weapon, so I can do the dual burster, the dual vehicle, and the dual anti-infantry. I mean, the Zoe is my new baby. I use it all the friggin' time.
Just
and
like
I don't
every
care.
other on the planet.
Yeah, and I don't care if Garlock from 666 says it looks like I'm in high heels with a purple sparkly dress on. I love my Zoe.
Did he really say that?
Yes, he did.
Oh, that's awesome. It's way easily the best one. And
I agree. But
here's the biggest backing.
But let's not spend the entire night on Zoe. I think.
Well, I'm not going to. But I think
everybody's had the chance to either use it if they want to use it or fight against it at some point or another. But I think less people are talking about the shield and lockdown mode. I personally have seen the lockdown mode used highly effectively, much more effectively than Zoe has. And I actually was just playing on Connery before we started recording, and I saw the shield being used super effectively. So
Really?
Zoe may be the best, but I think the other two aren't as bad as people are saying.
Oh, well, I'm going back to Zoe because you didn't let me finish. I spent more certs than you did. I don't even play Vanu. I boosted that thing all the way. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, no, I agree. Dual burster mode, shooting down enemy air, they don't stand a chance.
The thing I want to say, though, backing its overpowered statement is it feels like beta again when maxes didn't cost resources or have cooldown timers when I'm fighting Vanu. There's just Zoes everywhere. And that's proof enough to me that it's easily the best one because I don't see lockdown everywhere. I don't see shields everywhere, but I see Zoe all over the place. But moving on to the shield, I don't like it. It's got some very good uses. Keyword being some. Zoe does not. Zoe has good uses all the time. And then lockdown, also some very good uses, and they're really, really strong in those uses. And I think lockdown's at a very good state because it's definitely got its downside of being immobile. But man, is it hard to take a point when there's like 3 maxes locked down on the capture point with the miniguns that they have, and just watch people try and roll in and they're just mowing down entire squads. It's insanity.
Well, I told you about this. I experienced lockdown with the fractures. A Sunder rolled up, parked, unloaded its maxes. They all locked down with their fractures, and I watched them take out an entire armor column in under 30 seconds.
It's definitely very good. I haven't been as affected by it though as
No, me either.
As I have been by Zoe. In the Aegis, I've been playing mostly NC this weekend, and I've been trying to use it, trying to find its uses because I think it's the weakest one, simply because the other two provide a huge buff to killing power for their weakness. And the Aegis has a weakness of moving even slower and not being able to fire. And you don't get any buff to your power. And it's okay, like everyone says you can push into a point with those, but if you're pushing into Zoe or locked down, because we got to put these on an even scale. I mean, if you're gonna compare the Aegis shield to TR, or if you're gonna compare the Zoe to the Aegis, you have to or compare the two, you have to put them against each other in my mind, in a way, obviously of asymmetrical balance, but the Aegis doesn't provide enough. Like Lockdown and Zoe just eat right through that shield, and then you have nothing at that point. And you can't kill while your shield's up, and people can't shoot through you either. So I don't see the benefit. I really don't.
As long as they don't include these in esports, I'll be fine. I don't. If they want to make them unbalanced. They want to make them all out of whack. That's fine. But these do not need to be included in competitive. You know, if they're going to put this game in esports, these do not need to be in esports. I've seen nothing but Zoe's all weekend, but I'm not going to complain too much about it because it is what it is. But
well, one complaint I did want to go over with the Aegis Shield, and for those who aren't using it,
well, yeah, because you're on the other end of it. So
well, you got to note what I said, that it's vulnerable from the side and the rear, which means it takes you are at the mercy of splash damage. So think Lasher. A Lasher is the perfect counter to the Aegis Shield because I just fire to the side of you and you get hit by the splash damage. Well, same thing with a grenade, and
it doesn't even fully protect you in the front. You can aim and hit them.
True, but I think its big. I think its biggest weakness is that it is vulnerable from the side. That's something that I'm surprised is not that they're not going to fix.
My problem is its strength is it's not a good strength compared to Zelda. People are like, "Oh, you had hacksaws, so now we get Zoe," and I'm like, hacksaws are default weapon. You can't compare hacksaws to Zoe. Like, I don't understand.
I think we've stuck with this long enough not to cut us off, but is what it is.
It's just the worst one.
A couple other changes that came along with this update is they buffed spot bonus XP, which is good in my mind. There's not much more to say about it. The concussion grenade changes. All concussion effects will now correctly check line of sight. They're not just going to hit you even if you're around a corner, which is good. And flash grenades will now remove players' UI if the player is close enough to the impact point. And the duration of the flash grenade has been reduced as well. So,
Oh, people have been using the hell out of both of those.
I
really
like the
that.
flash. The concussive drives me insane, because it seems like it's very, I don't know. It doesn't seem consistent in my mind when I use it, so I stopped using it. The default medic revival now revive players at 50% health, down up from 20%. So all those changes I have no complaints about whatsoever. The spot bonus was necessary. The rest of them were necessary. The grenades need to be cleaned up.
Concussions were useless because you would hit your teammates half the time, and now since it actually blocks, like it doesn't go through a wall.
Exactly. I mean, it's used for what
very
it's supposed to
good.
do. You're supposed to be breaching a room with it. That's the intent. It's not supposed to be throw it in there. Oh crap! All of those are affected. So now it turns into a slow-mo Nancat fight for like 2 minutes. Like it's horrible.
Especially when Zoes are active.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Just keep sticking that to us. I appreciate
Like
that.
Disco Inferno.
Oh my God. I've noticed more EMP grenades being used as well. Was a small change that they removed the HUD, or was that in the past? I can't remember if that was this update or in the past.
It wasn't
this update. So.
It wasn't this
Okay.
update. I think it was a
past.
previous update. But yeah, I've seen a lot more EMP use as well. I agree.
I like that though. It's way better than the nade spam of just damage.
Probably because there's Zoes everywhere.
So there are also some vehicle updates.
Wait, did you guys hear what actually fuels the Zoe? It's NTR tiers.
Unicorn
I was
power.
about to guess it. You didn't give me enough time.
Because when you put the two together, you get purple. I mean, it's that purple sparkly glow.
I just figured they ground down like unicorn horns and like put them in like a generator. That's how it runs.
Wow. So
No.
okay, well, we had
Vehicle
talked.
updates.
Yeah, there's vehicle updates. The Enforcer C85 modified. Adjustments were made to make the magazine size and shots per pellet so that you could damage armor and be more useful. The Enforcer ML85 had a slight redesign. It can now fire 10 rounds before reloading, and when you land with most of your shots, TTK is an improved TTK time to kill is an improvement over the previous version. And projectile speeds have been reduced slightly, which then got updated on 5.24, and the projectile speed went from 200 to 300. So I don't know if that's still a reduction, because I don't know what the projectile speed was before. But the inner blast damage, was decreased from 1,000 to 450.
Which I thought was a huge nerf.
That is a very large nerf. That's over 50%.
But I don't know if it was a required nerf or an over nerf. I don't know. I never used the Enforcer ML85, so.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know either. I don't know if maybe they buffed the damage by accident and then we're like, oh crap, and reduced it back down, but it was, a big nerf.
Well, since you got to do the NC ones, I'll do the Vanu ones.
Yeah.
The Proton 2 PPA, there was a tuning pass done to the PPA to make it a little more competitive. The fire rate should feel improved, and it should actually do more damage to armor now, and it should also have a slightly higher blast radius. To make it effective against armor, they changed it to a different resist type, so that it allows a lot more direct hit damage on vehicles itself. Regarding this change, I hear that people are still not using it, so take it as it will. The Sauron. Now, here, we talked about it a little bit before, so let's really cover it now. There was a slight redesign to it. It can now rapid fire several shots before reloading. It's pinpoint accurate in the first shot, but then the cone blooms significantly after that. It really would allow you to unload on targets at close range for a faster time to kill. Scratch everything I just said, because they updated it in the 5.24 hotfix as well. I knew this beforehand. We were loving the new Sauron at first, because it was full auto, and you could just unload on enemy tanks. Well, they realized that was a mistake, and on 5.24 they changed it and made it now semi-auto and reduced the cone of fire itself. They also, to make up for it no longer being full auto, they increased the inner blast damage from 350 to 850. But let me tell you, people were not happy.
OP.
Well, on day one, everybody was like, yes! And then the next day, everybody's like, this sucks! But it's still good.
And then 2 hours later, they were like, "Oh, it doesn't suck because I can one-shot infantry all over the place with it."
You can one-shot them, but they're still hard to hit. I still have a tough time hitting infantry with Saurons.
Listen,
I mean,
because you're bad.
It's because I'm bad, because I was about to say, I ran with...
Kill 6 infantry just like that.
I was about to say, before you rudely interrupted me, I was running with J-Dog, and he was sniping infantry like crazy with the Sauron on top of my Mag Rider.
Mega easy mode. Not to mention that the Mag Rider floats, so it doesn't bounce, and you can move around, and he still can aim effectively. I don't want to get started on that. I already went off on the Zoe enough.
Oh boy, here we go. Okay.
It's about time Vanu got some real buffs, and all you guys can do is cry about... Well, I shouldn't say you, Torkz. It's mostly Noxx.
I've been full of tears.
I'm crying while my mic is muted. There's
a reason that everyone's running Zoe, and it's all because Noxx is crying such a river that it just fuels us so well.
A couple of new things also. New collision type has been added around the wheels of the harasser. This should prevent the harassers from having the problems they've been having clipping into walls. For those of you who play a lot with them, you'll see this. I've also saw it a little bit. Harasser's primary weapon also has been changed to not hit players in the rumble seat.
Well,
so
I don't think that first item was a problem so much as it was to fix the exploit of them getting inside buildings they're not supposed to get into.
Okay. I saw some people jammed up against Biolab. Sorry, go ahead, Noxx, or something.
I was wondering, the first time I drove a harasser, I flipped all over the place. And I wonder if this collision inadvertently prevented that from happening, because I haven't flipped around over nearly as much anymore. I noticed it will hit the wheels and stop flipping over, like it's on a hot dog rolling around.
Well, maybe it's because you're getting more used to it, because I was in a harasser last night and we flipped and we rolled so many times.
Okay, maybe it is.
And we blew up and we all died. And,
and
I just pulled a fresh Zoe Max and I couldn't get another one for 3 minutes.
Oh, man.
Oh, no. I'm so sorry.
I was going to say the Zoe can run infinitely because of my tears.
Yeah.
Such endless stream.
All right. Some UI updates. They add new instant action toggle hotkey. Default binding is now the home key for those of you that want the instant action all the time.
Now, I'm sorry to interject here, but
mm-hmm.
I don't know if some of our listeners know that in addition to the home key, the delete key is actually your redeploy button. And I think that's just a quick little tip that I don't think everybody knows. If you hit delete, you get a 10-second countdown timer before you redeploy.
And you can still play while it's happening.
Yeah, you can still play. I think it's great that I can sit in a base up until the last 10 seconds before it's about to be capped, and then hit delete and hit my redeploy and not suffer a death because of it. So
well, yeah, the great thing about being able to play is you don't have to sit in the map.
Right.
Oh,
right. So again, I'm sorry to interject there, Torkz, but I thought it was important that maybe some people still don't know about the delete key.
Those are some valid keybinds that we haven't really talked about that much.
Talk about, yeah.
Yeah. And they made some other instant action changes I'm not really going to go into because I don't care. If it was used when you're a max, you'll get an error basically if you use it when you're instant action when you're a max, as it should be. Map polish.
I actually heard that they're going to take away that error message for the Zoe Max.
You're really going to...
That means you'll lose your Zoe. I'm totally fine with that.
No, we're not going to lose the Zoe either. We're going to be able to do a hot drop with it on.
No, exactly.
Oh,
so they automatically...
We're going to be able to fall
faster.
faster.
As a regular infantry now?
Yeah, we'll be able to fall faster, and we'll be able to move the drop pod further around on the map and actually hone in right on enemy armor and air as we're dropping.
My understanding was when they hit instant action, everybody turns into a Zoe automatically. So
and when you hit the armor, you'll actually do damage.
We blow up the armor, and then we automatically lock on to the closest air target and start firing.
Yeah, it's like the game includes an aimbot with Zoe that goes on.
I don't know about that. I've seen a lot of Zoe people missing their targets.
Anyways, some map polish, now able to set waypoints via the mini map by right clicking it. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, which people don't realize. A lot of people don't realize that that's new.
Yeah. Warp gate spawn points no longer have any cooldown. That's good. At ultra quality settings, and as it should be. I mean, nothing
Noxx,
really.
have you tried the ultra quality settings?
I didn't even know it until just now. I just have been sticking my thing on high across the board. I'm gonna have to try it out.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're the one with the best machine out of all of us. I'd love to
I
hear.
used to play in Ultra back, and then when I got the new hard drive, it wasn't letting me put it into 0 in the config file.
I might switch all mine to ultra and see how that works for me as well. Just for the heck of it.
Before someone criticizes me, it wasn't a read-only issue.
Well, the last thing that we want to go over regarding patch notes is we discussed most of the 524 hotfix notes earlier when Noxx and I talked about the vehicle weapons, but there was also a change to the G30 Vulcan H weapon. They increased the damage from 95 to 110. Just a small buff to it. We didn't want to forget to mention it. Otherwise, everything else that was in the 524 hotfix we already covered previously in the game update 9 notes. So with that takes care of all the patch notes. A little bit long this evening, but
all of our abbreviated list too.
Our abbreviated. We cut out about half of it just to give you all the choice nuggets of wisdom.
Oh man! All right, community briefing. Let's go.
Attention, soldiers! Get your butts in here for this week's community briefing.
As usual, we will start off with FNO. This week, Jimmy was gone. It was Lenny Guyo. I want to say it like that. I didn't quite understand him when he said it, but it's got double L. So his Twitter is at KLAYPER.
I believe it's Caliper.
That's not how you spell caliper normally.
No, it's not, but
That's why I spelled it. If I had said caliper, people would have been going in there to spell it like a brake caliper. Starts with a C, and they'd be totally wrong.
maybe they'd
moving
find
on.
someone absolutely off the wall that they'd enjoy following. Why don't you just let people discover these things on their own?
So, he is a level designer and product owner for the World Environments team. And he ended up hosting, and he was also the interviewee during the post playing with the outfit. They played with the NC Joint Ops group that they called themselves something else, and I can't remember. But they're on Matherson, and it was Stern Grenadier, 7th Cav, who was on FNO before, and Blue Lions. And they're looking for more outfits to join them. But you have to have a strong command structure, play objectively, strategically, no drama, no BS. They're very serious. They're a very serious crew. If you want to run military where people are, that's your group to play with. But if you
can I just say I don't want to knock all three of those, but I thought that they were a little too strict.
Yeah, some people like that.
I mean, ultimately, this is just a game, and I don't know that I would mesh well with them. But
I know I wouldn't.
To each his own. I'm sure they are a decent group for some people.
Oh yeah, some people like that, and if you like that, those guys are the ones you want to play with because they are very, very serious. And
I will say, Sturm Grenadier is a original old school PlanetSide 1 outfit, and
so is Blue Lions.
I personally played alongside Sturm Grenadier on the servers that I was on, and they were some of the best ones in the game. So I will give them all the props in the world.
Yep. Blue Lions was in the originals, and they talked about how the Blue Lions outfit logo is in the game, the old PlanetSide one, because when they brought in a bunch of the old PlanetSide logos.
Was it really? I thought they said they used the Poodle logo.
Yeah, that was theirs.
That's not theirs.
That's what they said.
Well, no, they were just saying that that's the logo they used in game.
Well,
the Poodle was just one that anybody could use.
Oh, was it
Heck,
really?
My crappy Vanu outfit that I made used the Poodle logo.
Oh, okay.
And I used to run around shouting "Purple Poodle Ponage" all the time. I had a macro for that.
Was that on what's his name? DJ?
No, that was on Max.
I was just thinking of another something ridiculous that you'd say on a character with a ridiculous name.
We'll have to log into PlanetSide sometime together. All my original macros are still built in. I should fire through them all for you. You'd see my purple ponage.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that wasn't there. Okay. I misunderstood the F&O.
Yeah, you misunderstood. Right. They were using the poodle, and it was just one that was in there.
Gotcha. Well, moving on. There was good discussion. Maggie and Lenny had good discussion with the 3 outfits on various tactics on how to handle spawn camping, and progressing down the map. So if you're interested in that, I would listen to it. I don't want to go into too much on it. And the real meat of F&O, well, what everyone wants to hear is the interview aspect and what they previewed. And they showed off a bit of Esamir on their internal build. So Deringer, why don't you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, this is like the filet mignon portion. Stuffed with lobster and all good stuff.
Oh, good land and sea, right?
Yeah, let me tell you, the Esamir stuff that they showed looked amazing. I love Esamir to begin with. And the reason I like it so much is because there's so many good tank battles on it. Now, when we get into this, you're going to say, but how can that be your favorite continent when they roll this out? So, first off, it sounds like Esamir will probably be the next continent to get the Lattice. They did not confirm that, but listening to everything they had to say, I think you agree, Noxx, that we both feel that that's where it's going.
Well, they showed their totally tangled mess of Lattice.
Yeah, they were moving points around and removing stuff and pieces of terrain they were taking out to make the whole thing work. So
some of them were connected to points like all the way across the map that weren't even close to each other.
Yeah, so, but let's talk about some of the other changes that are going on in Esamir. First off, walls. Walls. There are so many new walls being added. And it's really to kind of enclose infantry into their own fighting areas that tanks can't get to. So very interesting with all, and I mean tall walls as well. And,
they're not even walls like the tech plant or the amp station walls. They're like just straight wall, no platform on top.
Wall. And I mean, the walls are on either side of a ravine that tanks have to drive down, so much so that the tanks can't even effectively fire up at the walls, that the ravines are so deep.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy. But it seems
like we should be able to spray paint them.
Yeah. It seems like they're trying to make it to give, like I said before, infantry more space to have infantry battles only on Esamir. So that brings us to the next point. They introed something called the Dome Shield Emitter. And basically what this does is it's exactly what it sounds like. It's just like the Warp Gate shield, except it doesn't look like it. It was much more transparent, but it blocks all projectiles going in and out, and it's to prevent some of the rocket pod and Liberator camping that goes on in these infantry-only areas. This has walls within it to create these infantry-only zones. Vehicles will be able to travel through it, such as flying or driving. Well, I guess it is driving. They can drive through it as well.
Well, I mean, if you could ramp your harasser over the mountain into it, it wouldn't block you.
And I mean, gal drops will also be able to still happen. And they're going to be adding this to a lot of the bases out there, but they said not all of them. And there's no design to disable this yet, but they are talking about it. So I imagine it will probably be released without a way to disable it, which could be interesting. Now, before everybody says, "Oh my God, domes everywhere," they don't protect 100% of the bases that they're in, but it will provide a decent safe area for infantry. I really like Dome Shield Emitter, I have to say. I was watching it and I'm thinking to myself the whole time that, I don't know, this might be crap. You're really taking air out of the equation and you're taking tanks out of the equation. But the more I think about it and kind of mull it over, there are times when there's just too much tank and air camping. And I'd like to play with this for a couple weeks to see how it changes the game. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I do. I kind of feel the same way. One of the initial, before I move on a little bit too, but one of the popular questions was, will they be able to be disabled? They asked, several people asked that throughout the thing. And yeah, I think they're thinking about it, but it sounds like, I kind of like the idea of being able to disable it, but I think it'd have to be pretty hard. It'd have to be pretty hard, not just some single generator that you then take like the SCU used to be taken. So, but one thing that I'm really noticing about these walls and shields is that it is going to make snipers just completely and utterly useless. Like, sniping has a certain aspect of effectiveness. It's not just sitting and getting kills. Like, you snipe people off of AV turrets, you snipe them off of Gatling gun turrets, you snipe them. Anyone who's just sitting still, a medic that's not smart enough to move around while rezzing, you snipe them, you're killing a medic. They're actually tactically effective, and these walls and shields are just completely eliminating them. And that was my initial thoughts when looking at this. There's literally no way a sniper can be effective in these areas because bullet travel time, breathing, sway, bullet drop, it's already hard enough to hit people. So now you have limit them in a close quarters area, they're useless. So I was initially thinking this, and this actually became a question they asked later on, is how to deal with that. So initially they wanted to allow small arms to fire through the domes, but then they realized that small arms deals damage to ESFs, and they didn't want ESFs to have nothing to do with small arms fire other than fly away. So the current system that they have in their test build is just blocking all fire. And maybe small arms no longer will hurt air to allow that. But an idea that Maggie had brought up was maybe infiltrators can get special ammo to use that goes through the shield. Because they even showed an area on where there was a mountain looking into the infantry area, and infiltrators wouldn't be able to snipe it.
See, my concern with that, and I know you have some other ideas, but I want to make sure I get this out, is that kind of pigeonholes infiltrators, forcing them to spend certs on a specific attachment, and I know they don't want to do that.
But let me tell you something, as I play infiltrator quite a bit, and I will tell you how many attachments all of my sniper rifles have. Zero.
No, I know, 0. But
there's no attachment that's worthwhile except maybe a scope. But even then, your sway becomes so much more extreme that I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, see, but that's the difference between choosing to buy a scope and being forced to buy a special ammo.
But okay, so I see your point there, but there's literally nothing to spend certs on, so I don't think people would dislike it, especially if it let them snipe without people being able to hit them back unless they're counter sniping.
But it gives those that haven't purchased it a distinct disadvantage.
Make it 100 certs. Who can't get 100 certs? Besides,
Johnny level 1 sniper who just joined the game and now can't snipe out of the...
Johnny level 1 sniper should be playing a medic, as we have said.
Yes, but...
Medic is the best way to gain certs, medic or engineer.
Yes, but Johnny level 1 sniper has only seen videos of this game where people are sniping other people, and he says, "I'm a sniper," and now he can't.
Johnny level 1 as a sniper is a detriment to the game.
No, he's not. Johnny level 1 sniper just spent $20 in station cash.
Ah, you son of a...
So that he could buy a camo for every continent. And now...
And the sniper rifle, the bolt action.
Correct. And now Johnny level 1 sniper can't snipe out the dome.
Well, Johnny level 1 sniper needs to go get 100 certs and spend it on the ammo.
I feel really bad for Johnny level 1 sniper right now. I'm crying.
Yeah, but Johnny level 1 sniper wants to cert out his flash first with the Wraith module, and he's got to spend his first 150 certs on that. How can he spend it on the ammo?
It's not going to be on all the bases. Johnny level 1 sniper can still snipe in other places.
All right, guys. Come on.
Some of my ideas, though, because
Johnny level 1 sniper is switching to Vanu and buying the Zoe implant.
One of the things that Maggie did mention is that they can't just give it an armor-piercing round. All these rounds need to have, all these attachments that you give to your gun have negatives. And we learned that they finally gave the foregrip a negative, which is the swapping weapon time reduction. So my ideas for this would be maybe a heavier round that has more drop, a slower round, also more drop, and you have to lead your target more, so that might be better than a heavier round. And then another idea was maybe a more obvious tracer that gives their position away more, since they have to have armor-piercing technology if I want to get all RP about it. Or, sorry, shield-piercing technology. So I really like the idea of sniper rifles around that can travel through. If you spend 100 certs on that, by all means, I think it's hard enough to snipe people that are running around in areas where they have lots of cover as it is, so that I don't think it'll be like just giving them free reign over the classes that can't shoot back. And if you make it obvious enough and don't give them a lot of cover, like they have to stand vulnerable on an open hilltop, then they're easy to counter snipe. So I don't think it'll be overpowered. Johnny Level 1 Sniper will just have to spend his 100 certs on the ammo.
See, but Johnny Level 1 Sniper is also using aimbot. He doesn't have a problem.
Level Sniper can't do jack unless he is buying the ammo. He can't shoot anyways, so who cares if he has to buy the ammo?
But Johnny Level 1 Sniper is using aimbot. He doesn't have any problems hitting you while you're running.
Detriment to the game.
Now you're right. Okay.
So, the other thing they showed in these bases, which I really like, but I have a complaint too, is there's snowy trees. And this is pretty cool because Esamir has life on it, surprisingly enough. And they added a lot more natural landscape and removed a lot of unique models. So despite the fact that they created more cover with these trees and rocks, there's also a lot of rocks, it actually increases performance because these objects are used across the entire continent frequently, which makes you load less, increasing performance. So I really liked a lot of trees in the bases, but not on the outside. Like, it's like they built walls around the 5 trees, and then we're like, that's our base around everything that I saw. So I really hope they add trees just out in the open terrain as well.
Well, obviously they logged all the other trees to build these walls. I
mean, maybe that's it. Or maybe the trees are of such value that they have to protect them. That's why the base is there in the first place. We're fighting over trees. Okay, moving on. The further notes on the... Oh, wait, I have further notes.
Sounds very Vanu-esque. Tree huggers.
No, it sounds NC. Come on, it's NC all the way.
I had some further notes on this, too, is that the bases are really beginning to look like bases. And I noticed this on Indar, too. Rather than, like, these spots where they just are placing... Where the faction empires are just placing buildings randomly. Like, oh, this looks like a good spot. Let's throw some buildings down here. They're actually starting to look like bases that have function, and I think they're beginning to look really cool. And I have thoughts on the infantry changes. Most of them seem to make vehicles useless. And yes, I think so. The walls and vehicles become like this means of getting from point A to point B. So how do they have any use beyond that? Like, if you go into tactical, like if you're going over capture point fighting, you don't fight off the capture point. So I wonder how that's going to affect vehicle play on Esamir. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, it's a lot for people to digest. Let's take a break from FNO and let's move on to community question. What do you think?
Yeah, and if you didn't watch, there's a lot of really good questions that the fans asked the developers. I would actually really recommend listening to at least that portion of FNO because there are some really good questions, really good topics discussed during the Q&A aspect of it.
Plus, you really got to see how the dome, the dome shield emitter, you got to see what that looks like. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Torkz, we're throwing it at you.
Mm-hmm. The community question for last week is, do you feel the tribunal system would help the player community in PlanetSide 2? And pretty much everyone said no. Steam, there was a mix, but still said no. Reddit said no, we hate you. Don't ever ask us a question again. The question we have for this week is, do you think the dome shield emitter will be something that can be disabled? Or should be. Should the dome shield emitter be something that can be disabled? Or should just be up all the time? That's the question for this week, and we'll put it up everywhere tomorrow after the show's posted.
I agree with everyone that said no to last week's question.
Yeah,
I do too.
It was a good question, but I can see some of their arguments about why it wouldn't work as well in this game.
There's no chat. I mean,
Yeah.
half of League of Legends Tribunal is chat offenses. It's not like this person's a hacker. Well, how do you refute that claim in a tribunal system? Just
yeah, it seems like all the ethnic slurs and cursing and all that stuff really doesn't happen as much as would be necessary.
And I haven't. Go.
Did you also notice that someone on the Steam group posted that, coincidentally, with us asking this question, was the same time that Valve says that they're instituting a tribunal system for their games?
Well, I think it works in a game like Team Fortress or Dota, where you have chat log and single this round happened at this time sort of gameplay, whereas PlanetSide's 3:37 p.m. This person was calling this other person really bad things that start with bad letters and end with bad letters, and
all right, let's get to Community Clash.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Prepare yourselves! This is the ReachCast Community Clash.
All right, last week I played with the great outfit Black Arrows NC on Matherson. I have to say, I was definitely impressed with how their outfit leader, that's LTIY.
I played with them too.
He was barking orders always, keeping his soldiers moving, constantly taking points. I loved everything that they did in the game, and I had a blast playing with them. Unfortunately, the server was so laggy that night, and I think it's because the patch had just come out. And I had to apologize to them and say that I'd love to play with them again in the near future. But I did pluck something out of our playtime, and I posted a video on our YouTube channel of how they execute a point capture. It was pinpoint precision. I loved every second of it. We'll include the link to this in our show if you guys want to go watch their quick. It's about a minute long of just them dropping out of a tower and taking a point. Absolutely spot on. So that was Community Clash. I had a great time. I wish it wasn't as laggy, and I look forward to playing with them again in the future. So Black Arrows on Matherson.
They're really cool guys. I liked them.
I did too. They're funny guys too.
Oh yeah, we had lots of good dead baby jokes.
What the hell is wrong with you two? All right.
And one of the guys with the baby was like, I don't know how I feel about this.
What is ReachCast University?
Jimmy, what are you doing in there?
I'm playing PlanetSide 2, Mom.
Are you decent?
Yeah, Mom. What do you want?
You got a letter from the school.
Well, let me see it.
Open it up.
Jeez, I am, Mom.
Well, what's it say?
It says...
Congratulations. You've been accepted into the ReachCast University.
Cool.
My baby is growing up.
Boop, 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 boop. I noticed a new part of the song now. Boop, 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 boop. The bongo.
There's many layers to that song, many more than I have ever explained.
I used to be so obsessed with the boom, 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 and now I hear the other parts, and it's coming together.
There's 37 layers to that song, so when you can pick out all 37, you tell me and we'll work it out.
Are you being serious?
Dead serious.
All right, I'm gonna find. Well, are you including the voices and everything of the talking?
I'm including the voices, yeah.
All right, well, I'll get to you on those. Anyways, the new Lattice. I'm gonna go over the new Lattice capture mechanics because it is a little confusing, and yeah, I want to briefly discuss that and basically how you can use it to your advantage as well. So, the very quick is you can only capture bases that link to each other on the Lattice system, designated by a yellow dotted line. So if it's not yellow dotted from the current zone you're in, you cannot go there and capture that point. Or if it's not yellow dotted to some other, you don't have to go from that zone. But yeah, get what I'm saying. Can't capture it unless it's yellow dotted line. The base can only be captured when the friendly base is not contested. This is a very important aspect of the Lattice system. And this means basically that if, let's say, for example, you're at Scarred Mesa Skydock, and I believe next to that connected is Black Ridge Garrison, if I'm not mistaken, something like that, or Black Rock Garrison, something, the one to the west of it. And where you have those two angled bridges, that is a lot of action on those bridges. And basically, if Skydock is turning in favor of what would currently be the Vanu, we'll say, the NC cannot go and capture Black Rock or Black Ridge, whatever one it is, until Skydock is returned to a friendly status. So let's say you're attacking, they get the point behind you, you can't go and get their point because it's controlled by them, it's contested. But you also say you get it back, you don't have to wait for that timer to return to 0 and fully capture it, I don't believe. So this goes into the strategy basically, and I was kind of alluding to this a bit with my thoughts on armor's effectiveness being reduced with the infantry only zones on Esamir, but it goes into a bit of like old school WoW Arathi Basin strategy, which is never fight off the points. And
you'd be surprised how many people can't figure that basic concept out.
I know, right? But it's a huge portion of winning. No, don't fight off the points. So
you mean I fight on flag?
Yeah. So, but essentially, if you're going, but you don't want to run by the enemy, obviously, unless they're bringing a whole armor column into Skydock, which is useless at that point. But like, you don't want to run by them. Obviously, they're going to just roll through and they're going to get out of their tanks and go up to the Skydock. You don't want to spend 2 hours there and not make any progress. Basically, galaxies are extremely useful at this. People who think galaxies are useless, they become extremely useful here, is that you fly over the battle, drop a squad or 2 guys onto the point, contest it. Now you do not need to worry about playing defense at your base because you have a control point. They cannot capture it. So you're effectively playing defense by being overly aggressive and bypassing the enemies that are fighting in between the point. And essentially, you're also going to pull guys back. So after Sunderers are set up and they're assaulting your base and you're on defense, a good defensive strategy is hop in some galaxies from the warp gate, fly over the battle, and try and capture some points so that they cannot capture it. And then you'll either take it because they'll be all too stupid to go back and reinforce, or you're going to be lowering their offensive strength by causing them to send people back to start taking their base back. So galaxies, extremely effective here. If you see people fighting between 2 bases and neither base is under contention, or you're in a heavy defensive hold, but you have it and you think you can spare a squad, this is a great opportunity for the smaller outfits to make a very effective difference on the battlefield. So that's it.
It's good tips.
Those are some good tips. I don't think a lot of people realize everybody's playing the Lattice, but I don't think that they're actually thinking of all these good points on ways to use the Lattice. And especially I hear a lot of small outfits complaining right now that
they think they have to go head on into the enemy, and it's like, no, you can go over them and do other things.
Right. But let's go on to good bad OP.
Yep.
Have another drink on me, soldier.
Okay, thank you kindly.
If you can look hard enough past all the death and all the sorrow, there are good things. You must remember that we will overcome. The good, the bad, and the overpowered.
I guess it's just my night to go first on everything. So for my good this week, if you can't guess what it is, you haven't been listening to the show. My good is Zoe. VS, I'm back, baby!
Traitor.
No, I'm not a traitor. And we'll get to that later. My bad.
Double traitor.
My bad is that I wasted 2 hours and 45 minutes of this double XP weekend watching Django Unchained. Very unimpressed with that movie.
Not that good, huh?
It had good parts. I really liked the German guy. He was awesome, but otherwise, very unimpressed with Django Unchained.
That's like almost 300 certs.
It is. It's easily 300 certs. So I wish I could have that time back. I blame my wife.
Thanks a lot, Quentin Tarantino. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Quentin. Ruining my game. Ruined my weekend.
My good for the week is Lattice. I think it's a good change, and I'm looking forward to that on the other continents. My bad is, as we're recording this here shortly, there'll be no double XP, and on top of it, there was no double or triple station cash during this weekend to buy. So
there'll be no double XP? What did I just experience?
No, soon. Not yet. But soon. So I'm bummed I can't get more days of it. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at.
Gotcha.
Yep.
My good is Arrested Development's back. I would have burned through the entire season if it weren't for double XP weekend. Instead, I only watched a few episodes. And it's awesome. My bad is actually Lattice. It's not so much a bad. I like the Lattice. I think it's fantastic for new players to find out where to go. It helps them always have places of action. That was one of my friends' big complaints, and I've told them about it, and they are going to check the game out again, but they didn't like it because they didn't know where to go, and they'd always end up in spots where there's no action. So that's not going to be a problem for them on Indar. But it's too much Zerg on Zerg. Despite what I said in the ReachCast University, it currently is just Zerg on Zerg, and it's massive battles, and I do feel like there is a certain lack of strategy. Like what I talked about in ReachCast University is almost, obviously there's more strategy that you can do, almost about it. Like you end up I spent 5 hours between Mao Tech Plant and NS Material Storage, I believe, which is 3 territories. And it was just this push back and forth for 5 hours that never ended. And it didn't matter. It's basically a bigger crown in that regard. Like, I'm never going to make it to Paris Amp Station because by the time we can push that far, the VS are going to mount a humongous pushback and you're going to get pushed back. You're never going to experience certain portions of the continent because the Lattice, it's too easy to push back. Maybe as more continents get Lattice and they become more fun to play, this will change because not every continent's going to be full all the time like Indar is, especially over double XP weekend. But I really don't like that I can't, it's really hard to push further into the zones. And you basically have this Y on Indar of border that, it looks like a Y. That's why I said that. But of territories that you fight over and everything else is just unscathed.
See, you say that, and I just want to bring the point. You were in Mumble with my brother and I the other night, and he was raving about the Lattice, about how great it was to experience some of the huge bridge battles at the Skydock there.
Well, no, I mean, like I said, I think it's fantastic. I like the big battles. That's why I prefaced it. But I don't like that people are going to get tired of it, I think. Unless you can actually make progress down the maps. They're going to get tired of being in the same spot all the time. Maybe it'll kill the Indar side aspect of it. I know on Connery there was a lot of action on Esamir today.
Yeah, we were on Amrish all last night, so.
Yeah, hopefully as Lattice gets introduced further in other continents, and you obviously all 3 continents, 4 maybe soon too, won't be completely full. So the Lattice, you actually will be able to see different parts of the map and have good battles at all areas of the map. But it seems like whenever there's 2 large forces fighting, it doesn't really progress more than 2 or 3 territories. And so you really get stuck into like single zones and you basically have 5 or 6 different crowns.
All right. All right. Well,
fair enough. That's all we got to say, right?
Yeah, let's get on to the mailbag.
Oh, it's a perfect morning. Great timing, the mailman's just coming.
Morning. Here's the mail. Big bag.
You must be ready to get away.
Very strange. What's the sticking sound? Going to take a look here in this bag of mail. Oh no!
Now you just open the ReachCast mailbag.
Alrighty, so mailbag this week. We had no calls this week.
Oh, you know what that means?
What does that mean?
Well, you said on Twitter that if you think Deringer is a traitor, you should call in. So if no one called in, clearly I'm not a traitor.
I guess not.
I mean, no one called, so
man.
If someone thought I was a traitor, they would have called in, right?
You're a double traitor. Just because you traded once and then traded back again does not negate the first time traitoring.
No one called in. Not a traitor. So let's move on to emails. We did have an email this week from LolWhatBBQ. He says, "Hey guys, it's LolWhatBBQ from Matherson. I was thinking maybe to bring back the Liberator. I think maybe to bring back the Liberator, the devs should add Empire-specific Liberator guns.
Oh, God.
I was thinking the Vano could have a constant beam cannon like the focus rifle in Halo. The TR could have a flurry missile launcher. And the Noob Conglomerate could have a better version of the Empire-specific rocket launcher. What do you guys think? Thanks for reading."
First of all, I wonder why he calls it the Noob Conglomerate when you don't play NC because the guns are too hard to shoot.
This is from LolWhatBBQ. That's exactly what he wrote. That's what he wrote.
I'm just commenting on calling it the Noob Conglomerate.
Torkz, please confirm that's what he wrote.
Yeah,
it is what he wrote.
It is what he wrote. I
then
mean,
why are you saying it's me?
No, it's not.
No, you were complaining about the NC being too hard to shoot. The guns were too hard.
They are. But I didn't call him the Noob Conglomerate. LolWhatBBQ did.
But I'm asking him.
I like how we keep going back to his name. LolWhatBBQ. LolWhatBBQ said this. LolWhatBBQ said this.
Just by the way, it's LOLWUT, not WHAT. So.
Is that not LolWhatBBQ?
No, I'm just saying it's the extra special what. What?
Anyways, I like the constant beam cannon like Halo.
Bring it on.
That should be interesting.
It definitely won't be
a Liberator gun. No. That seems very interesting for a Lib gun.
And let's have the Liberator glow like it's the Zoe when it's being fired.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
And can the Noob Conglomerate ESRL not be another guided rocket? I think we're sick of guided rockets.
That guided rocket actually isn't as good as people say it is. That's BS in my mind. I've used the different versions, and I disagree that guided rocket is that OP.
I initially said the Striker wasn't very good because you had to lock on, but it is a dominator.
Striker's great, dude.
Because no one buys
especially
smoke.
For defensive.
Yeah,
especially
better.
For defensive, it's great. We're not even going to go into it. I just don't buy this whole thing that the camera guided, because there's so many disadvantages to using a camera guided rocket.
You sit there vulnerable.
You get sniped.
Well,
easier.
yeah. I mean, you get sniped so easy while you're
it's
using
a mega
that.
snipe target.
Yeah.
I look for the rocket now.
Yeah, exactly. When I'm sniping, if I see Phoenixes, and I'm playing TR Vano, obviously, I see Phoenixes, I'll be like, oh, all right, where is he? There he is. Boop, dead.
You and everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Makes you uber vulnerable. So.
But what do we think about Empire-specific Liberator guns, even if it's not these three that he suggested?
So we'll have a Zoe VS lib. We'll have a scatter rocket cannon TR lib, and we'll have a big shield on the bottom of our NC lib that flies around.
Yeah, and he doesn't get to shoot while the shield's up either.
You don't get to shoot. You just get to land on
and
people.
Look pretty.
No, you land on people like you crush them. Like you have to put the shield up and crush people like manually.
What do you think about giving a Sauron, an Enforcer, and a Vulcan? And then just fires big Vulcan rounds out.
Well, you're talking about a...
No, I like the creative idea of his. I like his better. Well,
if
the
you
beam
find a way,
cannon's creative-ish. The flurry missile launcher, creative-ish. The ESRL, not creative at all.
I would think, though, that if you did a constant beam cannon, you'd probably put a charge on it.
Oh yeah, just unlimited ammo.
They're just carving their name in the ground
through infantry and tanks.
Yeah, insta-jib everything that runs into. Just
I'd love to
burns
see it.
across it. All right, let's get on to thank yous. I've had enough of this horrible discussion.
That's right. Keep crying. Got to fuel my Zoe.
I'm not crying, dude. I will find you your Zoe. I'll C4 you all night long, as like I've been doing. They
run away from it too fast. How did you get a single
you can't
one?
Even catch us.
What noob Zoe person did you catch with C4? Because when I was Zoe, I dodged all of that.
Oh yeah.
What is the name of that? What's the name of that one along NC and BS border? There's a base that is it's one of the tower bases, and
On which continent?
On Endar. They piled up on one of the corners consistently, and I can't remember what it was, but it was tons of Zoes piled up in that corner, and just boom, 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 C4 one after another, and they just kept getting rezzed up. We kept blowing them up. So
what idiots!
It was a good cert farm for about 20 minutes until the base got overrun. Anyways, the thank yous for this week is Morlefilder. I think that's right.
I hope there's no L before the F.
Morlefiller.
Morfilder.
There you go.
Morfilder.
And you didn't get the D the first time.
Oh, my bad. Kyla? Clayka.
He's over 2, baby.
Damn, I'm dyslexic. This is horrible. Clayka. Roy Awesome, Frank Maniac,
Nope. You got it wrong again.
That's
Frank Manic.
Time you've gotten.
I don't know why I keep thinking Manic. Frank Manic, my bad.
Baby, one of the best games of all time.
Yeah. Sick 2K10, Terry _.
I like how you covered the underscore.
That name is dumb.
Probably would have called you out on it if you didn't.
I would have.
Black Hole Dreams, I like that. Hervox, Javelin, Aggro, Republic of Clones, Mighty Blue Justice, !
Oh no, it's Mighty Blue Justice!
Oh man. Alright. Mighty Blue Justice!
There you go.
Wow, that was ear piercing.
Yeah. Ben _Andy. Whiskers 432 or 434. I can't even read. _Wick.
All new low.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. I can't even do numbers.
Whiskers 434.
_Wick. Ohek, yeah. And lol what BBQ.
Oh my god, I can't believe you got a number wrong.
Yeah.
That made my night. New good.
New good for the week. So our contact info for the show is reachcastshow.com. That's our website. Twitch is twitch.tv/reachcast. Steam group is reachcast. Email reachcastshow@gmail.com. And our voicemail is 415-787-3224. That is 415-787-3224. The Twitter for the show is @ReachCastShow. My Twitter is ReachCastTorkz.
I'm Noxia.
And I am the Deringer.
Every week we say thank you for everybody else that's not on the show that's part of the ReachCast crew. Steve, Cliff, John, Ginny Boo, and Hamma. That's it for the show.
Oh, one
Good
thing.
night.
One thing before we say that's it for the show. Aren't we going to be on FNO this Friday?
You two are.
Yeah, we are.
I'm working.
So watch for us on FNO.
Yeah, we're going to point fingers at you, the listener.
No, but we might offer some insightful information.
No,
Or
fingers.
insightful
Point.
discussion.
Correct. We're going to talk about Noxx when he's not there to make him listen to the show.
Hey, I listen to it anyways.
That's right.
That's not a bad idea.
All right, that's
Good
really
night.
it for the show. Good night, everybody.
Not all.
That's right, Sergeant. You made the call. All right, soldiers. You've done a great job here today. Let's get our stuff and get the hell out of here. legend.